okay, this storm pipe will survive for now. Let's get the rest of this done and save $20,000 if we don't have to put in a new storm sewer pipe at the bottom. So that might be the first portion of the original scope, if you could call it, that would go. And the DOLA fund is to cover, they won't cover, so that is one part. They will not cover the asphalt and the road work. They will cover the costs, which there is plenty of cost to be covered. That is more than what DOLA will fund, but they will cover the costs for water, sewer, and stormwater work, not for the actual road, asphalt, or sidewalk.
Nor cul-de-sac.
Correct.
Gotcha. That's helpful. Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah, and this is Chris, real quick. I'll elaborate just a touch there, Aaron. In terms of, as you mentioned, the DOLA grant has fairly specific funding requirements, and it's also a matching grant, which means the town must match those funds. And off the top of my head, I don't remember, Aaron, it's not a 50-50. I believe it's more like 60-40 or something. The exact percentage I don't have off the top of my head, but all that to say is that the town, as the receiver of the grant, can spend those DOLA funds on very specific things. As Aaron mentioned, is really targeted towards water, sewer, and stormwater. And then the town has to match those funds. And that's where the money is being, that'll be used for the pavement and some of those other items.
That is true. I didn't mention it. So they were doing the 450, and we had to spend at least 750, I believe is what the numbers were. If not, they're right around there. And so if we didn't spend that much, then they could withhold the funding of the grant. Any other questions? We'll have to apologize to those who did. Oh, it is live on YouTube, I see. So maybe they did get the recording going. I know that was what was mentioned and how to record it. So hopefully this is being recorded. I was going to tell everybody you'll have to have good notes to let some of your neighbors know, but I think we have the recording and we'll be all set. Oh, sorry. I do see you on there, Kim. Thanks.
Aaron, I see a new fire hydrant on your map, and I apologize. I can't make out if the existing fire hydrant at the top of the street will continue to be in that location, or will that be abandoned, or will we have two hydrants on the street?
It would be adding an additional hydrant. I thought it's gonna make 3 hydrants.
Mm-hmm. Oh, where's the third one?
I'd have to go back to try to look. I thought there's one, well, I'd have to look. I don't want to guess here.
Yeah, so the plan is to add one new hydrant as the road makes it the bend from going, east, if you're going up Longs Peak, as the road makes the big bend from the east to the north, there'd be a new fire hydrant in that area. There's an existing fire hydrant to be replaced about halfway between kind of the bulb out and the top of the road. And then there's the third existing fire hydrant, or second existing fire hydrant to be replaced at the very top end of Longs Peak. So 2 to be replaced and 1 new.
And right, I don't see this second one. Oh, here, replace existing. So here's the existing hydrant.
I think you need to reshare your screen.
Hydrant. Oh, you can't see. Sorry, I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Okay, let me get back to share screen. So we'll see down here is new hydrant right here at the turn, right? After we've come up the road, we come to the turn. This was where the one was added. because of concerns for the very end, really just the two houses here. And then the existing hydrant is over here. And that would be one that we would look at. Again, it has functioned. It's probably okay. But if we can fund it, so that would be one that, again, if we really need to cut back, the two hydrants have worked and would appear to work. The fire department has said it was okay. But if we can do the improvements, that's what we want to try to continue to do. And then, so just to show you the third at the existing at the top, right? Existing one, existing two, and new three.
Thanks for pointing that out, Aaron.
So Aaron, is the plan after the bids come in July 20th or so to have another meeting with us, or
After, I would think after the bids come in and we have a chance to review and really look at what we can do and if we can go out to bid, and then what we're going to do when we have a better idea, yes, we can have another public meeting.
Yeah, I think, as Aaron mentioned, you know, once the bids come in, we'll and going back to some of the price fluctuations, it's based on both, you know, materials being available and shortage of materials for certain products, and then just a shortage of products, which increases the price for those when there's a shortage in supply, right? And so all that to say is that, you know, with COVID and some of the plants that got shut down even temporarily has just added a lot of uncertainty to the construction industry, whether that's new housing in terms of like the materials to build a new house, or, and we're seeing it here in standard utility projects also. And it's hard to put an exact finger on it because it seems like it's a little bit up and down or spotty. So all that to say, once we understand what the project can afford, what the budget can afford, which hopefully it's the whole thing, then if the town is able to award the contract to a contractor, then we'll get some, you know, a schedule from the contractor, what his plans are, and then, you know, I think that would be a good time to then, or if something else, you know, major changes, I think the project has to be delayed or something like that. But once understanding the contractor's schedule and plan, you know, that's a good opportunity to reconnect and convey that information to all of you.
Anyone else?
Another question, Aaron, up at the top of Longs Peak at 129 there on, let's see, is that that's the south side of our property, is a transformer under the very large ginormous pine tree. But on the north side, it appears to be maybe internet utility connections, possibly. Can you speak to what that box is containing, what service it's providing? Maybe it's phone. And will that be disturbed during the construction or relocated?
I'd have to go look at it. I'll make a note. If it's in the way for redoing the road, we would have to see if it sounds like it's either CenturyLink or Alliance Communication. They also come up on the utility poles that we've talked about, but then go underground. So it sounds like it's one of theirs, and I'd have to see where that is, and we'll make a note to look at that.
Aaron, I also have a question about the internet. I've been in touch with Alliance Communication, and they tell me that if given the opportunity, they would like to run conduit in the electrical trench so that they could bring in their new cable for high-speed internet, fiber optics. Have you guys touched base with each other regarding this?
They are aware. I work with Kevin, who does Alliance Communications, quite closely now with the Second Avenue Bridge project. I have advised them that we are looking at that. We haven't gone into the details yet. I wanted to give them a chance to finish up and take a break. They've put a lot into getting it underground there over at Second Avenue. But yes, that would be the plan. They will definitely have the opportunity to put in conduit along with our electric conduit, both they and CenturyLink, who are the two providers in town. Anyone could, but those are the two that are here.
Okay, thank you.
Aaron, when you talked to us originally in the first Zoom meeting, you had said it would probably be May through July. Well, obviously, that time frame isn't working. We have a couple potential projects during this project going on in our house. We're getting estimates now on a big kitchen redo and flooring stuff. Is it going to be possible for, trucks that are dropping off materials and that kind of stuff to navigate this whole project?
They should be able to. We will have big equipment that needs to be able to navigate also. So they will be able to get around. They are going to be required to close up and give the homeowner access all the time as they need to. The garbage trucks will still be able to get through and do what they need. The fire department always requires having access for an emergency. So we will do that. We will want to be in touch as you have things scheduled, just to make sure we're aware and can make sure something doesn't get opened up just as a delivery comes. But we will work with all of you as the homeowners.
And would that include having a dumpster or a pod on the street?
We can see if it has to be on the street. That gets to be a little more. Let me make a note.
Yeah, and so that becomes a little bit more complicated, again, depending upon the length of time that dumpster or pod may need to be stored there. If there's any way it can be stored in the driveway, that's better, but I also realize you need driveway space for parking. So there's not a direct answer for that. I think it's a little bit dependent upon the time it would need to be there, the timing of the construction, et cetera. But, that would be something that, once the contractor's on board, I think there's opportunity there to coordinate that and have some flexibility.
Thank you.
Aaron, I have another question with regard to the sidewalk scope of the project. If that does move forward and the funding is there and you embark upon that piece, who is responsible for any damages to vegetation, plants, grass, retaining walls that are on, our properties if they happen to get, disturbed or
So
that
if
kind
it
of
was
thing?
if it was on your property, that would be something we would take care of. But that we have to be clear, a lot of people aren't sure of their property. Again, going back at Second Avenue, if you haven't seen, the right of way is right up to each of the people's houses. So this is one before doing this particular job, I've looked at exactly where the property is. Many people are not aware that probably 10 feet into their yard is probably all right of way that you just maintain and take care of. And so the town will want to try to help you maintain those things. But again, being right of way, the town usually just goes back to a standard repair of what would be in the right of way, potentially just seeding with grass. So we'll want to go over that when we have the certain areas. There will be some concern in order to redo a sidewalk. They will need to put in the forms. So I don't know if it could be just 6 inches or would they have to go back if we should really estimate a foot. That was what I wanted to look into more if we did that. Again, trying to stay in the boundaries that we are, just because of the tightness there and where people do have a lot in their yards already, but being aware that it's probably 10 feet in from the curb is right of way and the town's property.
Aaron, there's one question in the chat as well. I see that's somewhat recent. It says, on our property, there are 2 red flags saying Town of Lyons buried lines. What impact will that have on our property? And that's from NIFU 1460.
That would mean that the red ones are electric, so there shouldn't be any really worries. You might have been in an area where they were going to do what's called potholing, where they were digging out in the street to try to determine what type of material there is down that they will have to deal with in the excavations, or looking for a utility, a sewer pipe or a water pipe to know where something might be in the planning. But the red in particular should not have any effect. I'd have to see exactly where it is, but again, we're not moving any of the existing underground electric. We're only moving what is overhead by removal of the pole over off to the side of the road, I guess you could say. So there shouldn't be anything there existing. There will be that one area where we go into the transformer that is just to the northwest, depends, that's an angle there, of the first cul-de-sac or the cul-de-sac. So should be none for the buried electric. And the water and sewer lines, really the concern, right, is going to be tying in the existing lines to each of your houses to the new lines. That's where it gets to be probably the most, takes the most logistics and timing and trying to do that so that everything is ready to go and keep the least amount of downtime, making sure that the pipe has all been laid slightly deeper to keep the depth as it has to continue. If we find bad pipe at some of the service connections, how far back does that have to be replaced? You know, if all of a sudden we're there and if the pipe that's connecting to it starts to cave in, we have video of the main line, but not the service lines. We can see the individual connections, and nothing jumped out as a major issue with the services that we saw there. We have looked at where there are, I guess we haven't seen all of it because there is some damaged areas that we couldn't get past and couldn't see what was really going on there, but that's also a concern.
Aaron, you mentioned at the start of the meeting that surveying would be done. Will that be surveying on just the houses that are going to be abutting to that Y? And if so, will us as homeowners be privy to the results of those survey?
That would be part of what we need to get done for the boundaries of work. So there will be a number of surveys, multiple surveying done throughout the project. They do that to help find where some of the utilities are in addition to just property lines. So yes, we can, again, make that available. There are some drawings. I guess we don't usually do the full construction drawings, but we'd be happy to talk to you as homeowners where the property lines are. That
would be awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody else? So I think we have covered quite a bit. Hopefully you all got the answers, again, you're always more than welcome to email me or give a call. We'll continue to keep you updated. Again, you can expect the next one. I would say think about it in early August as an estimated date to give some time once things come in for us to really review it and see where things are at. If I can do it by the end of July, I will. All right. If there are no other questions.
Thanks.
Thanks.
You.
You are all welcome. Have a good evening. Take
You
care.
too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much.
You're all welcome.